weekend here. The Texans win. They're 2-0. The Astros sweep the Angels, right? You're supposed to do that. That's what you did. You took care of that business. Texas is number 1. The Aggies might have found a quarterback. The University of Houston gets the Bayou Bucket back and did it in convincing fashion. It was a pretty damn good weekend. And, of course, we're going to start with the last night's game. And, Lance, that was a game they lose last year. That was the Panthers. That was the Falcons. That was one of those games where they didn't play well. They just had just over 300 yards of offense. They got lucky. CJ didn't have a pick. They, of course, made mistake after mistake. Totoa was that holding call was huge. Al-Shaair on the sideline throwing punches is a bad thing. It's going to cost him. That's going to cost him.
That was stupid.
But they didn't, the offensive line wasn't great. Couldn't run the football after, dominating, running the ball. Missed call by the refs. How are they not calling the hip tackle on that play?
Yeah.
I mean, and
well,
that is the definition of it.
That was pretty clear, but they've already said they're not going to call it very often. It's mostly going to be handled through fines.
But that's exactly that play is exactly
why they
the
introduced
call.
it.
And so if you're not going to call that one, you're not calling it all year.
Well, I mean, he fell on everything like Tirico said, all four standards were present, and he fell on his ankle and hurt Joe Mixon's ankle. But he'll be fined. Al-Shaair is going to be fined heavily. Al-Shaair couldn't get off the sidelines. You already did something stupid you got away with. Get off the sideline. Al-Shaair couldn't stop talking yesterday. He was talking
he wanted to be on that side. He wanted to take the whole team on.
Let me tell you why. You said that's a game they would have lost. I was thinking the same thing in the fourth quarter. Like, you should be really afraid when you punted, but I just wasn't because the Bears couldn't move the ball at all.
Yeah.
You had the lowest quarterback rating of 4 in next-gen history against the blitz. So you had Caleb Williams had absolutely no chance of moving the ball. The only thing that you could do was have pass interferences, which helped the Bears set up a score. And when Caden Bullock ran through a wide receiver, you had to have that. And then you would have to have stuff like, punching people on the sideline turn into a 15-yard penalty, which it didn't. But you would have had to have helped them. The only way they could have beaten you. But I agree with you. The situation, because I thought about it last night, like, man, any other Texans team, I would have thought this is a loss. They have somehow found a way to snatch defeat out of the jaws of victory, because that's like they weren't great in the second half, but still, that was a game that they probably should have won by double digits. Yeah. And they ended up kicking 3 50-plus yard field goals. Kaimi Fairbairn, first player in NFL history to have multiple 3 50-plus yard field goals in a single game. He's now done it twice. And the first time it's happened in NFL history, Kaimi Fairbairn's done it. And they had opportunities to score. They fumbled going in. Like, they screwed up the cover. Let's just be honest about this. Let's get the elephant out of the elephant in the room is they had an easy cover. They're up 9. They're about to go up 16. They fumble. Cam Akers fumbles. He gets pulled after that, by the way. He fumbles, and the Bears go down and kick a field goal, and you don't get a cover. It's like the Texans lost yesterday. Let's just be honest.
Well, they did lose. I mean,
they should have won the game by 16. They won by 6.
Yeah,
and they had to hang on in the last drive. Not really hang on, but
but hang on.
Caleb Williams had a run that put them near the 50-yard line.
Yeah, and it looked like they were going to. This is the kind of game. In years when they got the ball back, I thought, this is the kind of game that you just.
In years in the past, they would have got they would have
somehow.
Lost.
Yeah. I even think even last year they lose.
I thought the same thing. Like, this is one of these games they typically lose, but they had 7 sacks last night. Caleb Williams really couldn't do anything. He's not ready yet, but none of these young quarterbacks are. His offensive line did not play well.
That pressure that he faced last night. Who could have done well with that?
They blitzed the hell out of him. It's the most D'Amico's defense has ever blitzed before they should.
It was awesome. I mean, it was that dude. You could see how frustrated Caleb Williams was. There were times where he's got his hands on his knees, and he's like, "Wow, this is just way too much." It was great. I'm telling you, if that defense didn't play that well, this defense has got a chance to be really, really good.
Yeah.
And now they just took advantage. That offensive line was overmatched last night.
Yeah.
I didn't think the Texans offense, after being awesome the week before, the Texans offensive line, they couldn't do anything. They couldn't run the ball. The Bears had 71 yards. The Texans had 75 yards.
We interrupt this broadcast to bring you a special announcement. I love Coors Light. I've always loved Coors Light, and I always will love Coors Light. I'm doing my job, keeping Texas chill. Are you? Are you doing your part? Do your part. Keep Texas chill.
Of running.
Of rushing. I mean,
Yeah,
neither
and a
team.
lot of that didn't happen until Cam Akers came in.
Right.
He had a couple good runs, and then he fumbled. But so the Texans got away from the zone scheme. They started running more gap stuff because the zone scheme wasn't working. And somebody asked me what the deal was. Is this just all because Juice Scruggs is gone? I really don't think so. I think it's just because the Bears front was just beating up the Bears front was just outplaying the Texans.
I think we found out at about 12:25 yesterday that perhaps the Colts just don't stop the run.
Yeah. By the way, the Colts defensive tackles and defensive line, they gave up over 100. They gave up 115 yards in the first half, running the football to Green Bay. They just aren't stopping the run. So the Texans they had a great game, but maybe that's not the norm. Maybe we shouldn't expect that to be the norm.
Yeah, I guess it's not. But, man, talk about second half. Here's second half. Bears punt. Texans punt. Bears punt. Texans punt. Bears punt. Texans punt.
No
interception. Field goal. Interception. Punt. Fumble.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about
It was an
you
ugly
played
second half.
you played a Bears game. You know what? That's a game that the Bears are going to wish they had back because that's a winnable game for them.
Well, it's one of those games where they had no business winning that they could have won.
Yeah,
like
they
every
coulda
once in a while you get a chance to steal a game like that.
Yep.
And they had
Yep.
a chance to steal a game that they had no business winning, and all they had to do was come up with one drive, one deep completion, and they couldn't do it. And DJ Moore, you could see he is over Caleb right now. He's
Oh my God!
really
he walked
frustrated.
off. He was so pissed.
Yeah.
When he along the sideline, Caleb just missed him and he was open. He just walked right to the bench. He said, "I'm done with this right now. I can't do this anymore. I am not doing this right now." And walked to the bench. It was like, and this is a guy. Well, he did. He liked Justin Fields though. You remember he pined for him to stay.
Yeah, that's right.
He did.
He
He
did.
wanted Justin Fields, and after 2 weeks, you know what? He's like, "Oh, we need Justin Fields back." Oh, Justin Fields is 2-0.
That's something to keep your eye on. I mean, it may seem like a little thing, but that body language, and I get it. It's easy to be frustrated in that game because Caleb wasn't making throws, and frankly, I tell you what, he's tough as hell. He was in the second half, especially in the fourth quarter. The Texans had that drive where they hit him so hard, so many times. I mean, they were slaughtering him on. He'd get rid of the ball and then he'd get hit and go sideways. And he hung in and he played. I mean, he's got the toughness. But you saw how many checkdowns he had 3 pass attempts over 10 yards midway through the third quarter. Everything, I think towards the end of the third quarter, maybe even into the fourth, everything was short. Like he's reading everything short to deep, which means, he has no confidence in his offensive line. He's not really seeing the field well. And I brought up that statistic. I don't think I had the numbers. I don't know if I brought up the numbers because it was on the NFL's research sheet, but quarterbacks in their second game as rookies are terrible. Like they really don't get any better. And Caleb wasn't, Bo Nix wasn't. Jaden Daniels was pretty good. He was okay.
Yeah, Jaden Daniels was okay. He was okay.
He was okay.
Well, that's only the second time that a team scored 3 touchdowns and the other team didn't score a touchdown.
And beat them.
And they lost. And the team that scored 3 touchdowns lost. It's only the second time. 1989 was the last time that happened.
Oh, yeah, because they only had 18 because they didn't have a field goal kicker.
They didn't have, and boys, You're going to have to play Dayball a little bit later in the show, Dell. Boy, the New York media.
Well, John, you got to try an extra point. Like, you make it, they go for 2 when they're up 3, and I'm like, what the hell is he doing?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
what? Why? Or no, yeah, they're up 3 instead of kicking an extra point. I didn't know Gano was out.
Yeah.
And then I got into it with some guy from, I guess he's a Giants fan. Like, yeah, welcome to the party. I'm like, I'm asking because I didn't know. I'm sorry, I wasn't locked in on Giants kicking situation since he's not going to hit my fantasy league for sure. And I said this game, I didn't realize he was out. Anyway, I don't.
Well, he started the game. Listen, he had a groin injury before the game, and on the opening kickoff, he's got a hamstring.
But that's one where you've got to probably have a second kicker.
Well, that's why the New York media was all over Dayball, is because he didn't bring up the second kicker.
Yeah.
He just said, "Oh no, he's going to be fine." And wait till you hear Dayball. he's pissed off. It's fun. We'll do that a little bit later in the show. Where are okay? So power rank the undefeated teams: the Bills, Steelers, Texans.
Well, Bills actually look pretty good.
The Bills look real good.
Bills
Chargers,
good.
Chiefs.
Chargers haven't really been tested.
Vikings. Okay, Vikings.
Man,
Saints.
You talk about impressive.
Saints. Tampa and Seahawks. Well, the Eagles are undefeated still.
Those
are undefeated,
all
but they only
the
got one win.
undefeated teams. Vikings with Sam Darnold, Seahawks. You got.
Hey, they beat the 49ers.
I know they beat them pretty good. Like they were putting it on them for a while.
That throw out of the end zone to Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
Now, if they lose Jefferson for any amount of time, him walking off the field was not a good thing for them.
Yeah, he was hurt at the end, but
yep.
Yeah, I'd say the Texans. Well, I think the Texans are right up there. I watched Chiefs. I'm sure a lot of people watch Chiefs Bengals, and Chiefs look pretty good, but Chiefs defensively Joe Burrow had a nice day. He got his confidence back, and they were moving the ball. I mean, there's a lot of field goals kicked, not a lot of. We are in a period of there's some offensive frustrations going on right now, man.
Yep.
I mean, 7 field goals and they are second now all time. They had 15 field goals of 50 or more yards. You saw the Bengals had to kick a bunch of field goals. You had Chiefs kicked the normal amount. The Commanders had 7. Kaimi Fairbairn 3. The Bears and Texans combined for 5 50-yard plus field goals, which was the most in NFL history. I mean, teams have never had more 50-yard field goal attempts, and I guess it's a good thing because they are not scoring touchdowns right